All right.
What's up, guys? I'm joined here by Connor Matthews, UFC featherweight. How you doing, Connor? 1 week out from your fight. How you feeling? How's the camp been? How's the weight cut going?
Great, man. Feeling awesome, feeling amazing. I'm out here in Vegas. Got here a little bit early. Weight's on point. Exactly where I needed to be. I'm using the UFC PI for the first time to help me with my weight cut. Usually I have my own nutritionist and team. This is the first time I'm using the PI and I'm hitting all the numbers they want, and it's easier. You know what I mean? It's like like my whole life, like making weight, all this stuff is so hard until you get there, until you get to the UFC, and then everything's kind of just handed to you. So it's been really nice and great camp. And I'm just ready to go, man. At this time, I'm like ready to fight right now.
Yeah, I know it's been almost like a year off now. Obviously the debut was
Yeah.
tough against Bazooka. Didn't go your way. How has been coming back from that? What's it been like after the debut didn't go your way? But you've rebounded before. Obviously, first fight on the Contender Series, same result didn't go your way, and you bounced back and got the win. So how does it compare? How's your mindset going in?
Yeah, man, I've had a lot of setbacks in my life, and in my military do my job before become a combat controller. I had some setbacks back there, and I had some setbacks as a fighter. And I'm just, you know what I mean. It is what it is. It doesn't always go your way, but I always got back into the gym and trained hard, and I'm a better version of myself. I keep on getting better and better. So I feel really good. I feel really good about this fight camp. Sometimes I had a lot of injuries too I needed to deal with on the offseason. So I got knee surgery. I had a shoulder injury I was dealing with, and I was able to have time to rehab all that stuff back. And right now, I put together the best I've ever felt going into a fight camp.
And what's your camp look like? Are you split in time between gyms? I know you got your own spot going in the house too. What's it look like?
Yeah. So yeah, mostly I'm training with the cartel, New England cartel. So Tyson Charter is the head coach. Training with Nick Fiore, Tom Pags, Carlos Azoya, Chris Mantino. That's where I get most of my work from, and then I have my skill coaches, which is Pete Luciani and Jake Manini. They have my striking, and so yeah, there's a lot of traveling around in different gyms. But the New England cartel is like my main hub and my main gym. When I got out here to Vegas, I worked with James Gifford, Giffy. He works with a lot of other UFC fighters, so he sharpens me up right at the end, and yeah, man, I feel like I'm firing on all cylinders right now, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I know I've seen you say before you're not a huge like guy who watched a lot of fight tape, but what do you make of Jose Delgado? What do you think of him as an opponent?
I did watch quite a bit of fight film on him this time, just because my last fight camp, I didn't really like how I approached it with my game plan and everything, and I wanted to be a little bit more prepared for this fight camp. So definitely spent some time watching his film, and he's just a really good kickboxer. He's very aggressive, really good kicks, good punching as well. Slick jiu-jitsu, I have to watch out for. He's from the lab, so all those guys have pretty good jits too as well. So yeah, man, he's a well-rounded, tall, lanky, good striker. And but it reminds me of the kid I fought in the contender
Guy from
series.
Canada,
Yeah,
exactly.
Jais
Who's a
Perez reminds me.
kickboxing world champion? Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. I've dealt with that kind of fighter before, so he's gonna be good. He's gonna be a challenge, but I'm definitely prepared for that.
Yeah, and back at the Apex, what do you think of fighting at the Apex now? This will be the third time, right? How
Yeah,
does it
third.
compare to like the live venue?
Man, once you get in there and the ref says fight, it doesn't really matter where you're at, to be honest, for me. You know what I mean? Your fight's a fight. So yeah, I mean, I fought there before. It's my third time fighting there, so I'm familiar with it. So there's that. You know what I mean? That's always something. And the cage is a little bit smaller. I think that's to my advantage in this fight. And so yeah, I think I'm ready to go back to the Apex. Like I said, I like being out here in Vegas for fight week in general, just because it's like you get the Performance Institute, the weight cuts are easier. You know what I mean? Getting Airbnb for the team's easy. It's fight capital. It's this place is made for fighting. So I'm excited to fight here.
That's awesome, yeah. And just in terms of, like you said, maybe the smaller octagon playing in your favor. Do you plan to mix it up, throw the grappling in? Because I mean, against Bazooka, I saw a lot of success. I think you were having right
Yeah.
at the end of that second round, and I know you just said maybe you were frustrated with how it went. Maybe if you mixed it up a little bit more, could have gone your way. And you got whatever, you didn't get to let the third round play out. I thought it was a very close fight before that.
Yeah,
How are you feeling approaching this fight?
I certainly think so. I think that, with the Bazooka fight, I think if I would have, stuck to my grappling a little bit more, I think I would have had a little bit more success. So, and that's what really gave me a lot of success for the Jazz Ferreras fight. So, like, yeah, I think, obviously that's where, that's good. I'm a mixed martial artist. I'm not a kickboxer. I'm not a grappler. I'm a mixed martial artist. So you can see a little bit of everything. I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna, be aggressive in all aspects of the game. It's fighting, if it's wrestling, it's jiu-jitsu, if it's, striking, boxing, kickboxing, I can play it all. So you see a large variety. I never say I'm like the jack of all trades. I'm not really specifically one thing. I kind of do it all.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the best skill set to have is a well-rounded game. And you saying you're martial artist speaks to a lifetime of martial arts training. I know you started very young, and I think that reflects in your style. You have that bladed stance, that
Yeah.
switch stance, karate style. I see a lot of it. So, what's
Yeah.
it like? A lifetime journey of a martial artist.
I love it, man. I really truly love being a martial artist. Like, even like, today I was chilling at the PI training, talking to other fighters, talking to other UFC fighters, and just like it's just there's been so many different. There's just so much to learn. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lifetime to learn some boxing. It takes a lifetime to learn different things, jiu-jitsu, to learn the wrestling, and learn. There's so many different assets. Like, the asset to the game that it takes a lifetime to get really good at all that stuff. And I'm just super passionate about it. So I love it, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk real quick about some of the other stuff you did, because I mean, first and foremost, thank you for your service. Combat controller, special ops in the Air Force. It's really an incredible story. I believe 6 years off, from fighting full military service. I mean, just take us through kind of like the journey from fighting in the amateurs and then going into your military career and then making the decision that, hey, I'm going to pursue this MMA thing.
Yeah.
And look at where it's gotten you at the pinnacle of the sport.
So I say this. I say this. Well, like, yeah, if I didn't do my military career, I wouldn't be the fighter that I am today. I learned really how to, learn adversity. I learned perspective. I learned how to really grind being a combat controller. It was a hard job to become a combat controller, and I learned a lot about myself, and I was able to apply that to being a fighter. So taking that time off of being a fighter actually, yeah, take from fighting actually made me a better fighter, which is interesting. And yeah, man, it was a grind. You know what I mean? Like I said, I had a lot of setbacks in that just to become a combat controller. I failed a couple schools that were like, when you fail a school there, you get washed back. It's called. So you go restart like months in prior to training. You have to redo all this hard stuff again, and it just made me a better, stronger person. And then after you go into combat and stuff like that, that kind of gave me a different perspective of like last thing I'm like getting in a fight. I'm not afraid of. You know what I mean? I've got real life combat and done that stuff. So it's like, I'm just a better, stronger person because of all the stuff I did as being a combat controller. The community that I'm involved with is just super supportive, and it just kind of gives me motivation to kind of keep pursuing what I'm doing to represent them in the cage. So I represent not just myself, but I think I represent the combat control and special operations community in general. So it
And
gives
the
me something to
country
fight
too,
for.
it definitely are a great proud representation of our country.
Exactly,
And
exactly. So,
just can you put it in civilian terms, like what's kind of like the job description of combat
so
control?
yeah, so a combat controller. So generally we have different kind of jobs we do, but a lot of times when I was in it, we attached to like a special forces team, and our job on the ground is basically to do anything from air to ground. So we're air traffic control certified. So we could like set up an airfield and like an austere area, like a dirt strip or something like that, and land airplanes on like actually land the aircrafts, or set up helicopter landing zones, call in airdrops. We can call in airstrikes. So basically, when we get attached to a team, we're the communicator between anything to do with the air to the ground. So it's a pretty important job. You know what I mean? You get into a gunfight, you need the guy to call in the airstrike. So it's stressful and very really on your feet kind of thinking kind of job, and you got to be able to integrate with anybody. So you got to be able to shoot like a Navy SEAL or shoot like an Army Special Forces guy. You got to be able to keep, I mean, it's a very it's special operations. So,
I mean, it's incredible. It's hearing you talk
yeah,
about it, it's really what
yep,
a life. I mean,
yeah, it
Connor
was
tweeted
cool.
it. It could be a movie. I mean,
Yeah,
in
I mean, did all the cool stuff like skydiving, you know what I mean, Halo and dive school and all the dirt biking, all the cool shit. It was really cool, really fun. You get to learn a lot about everything, so it was awesome.
how does the special ops training compare to a fight camp in terms of difficulty and
Harder,
how hard you
harder.
harder?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely harder. You know what I mean?
Physically or because of the mental aspect? Because
It's physically, I would say, but physical is mental. You know what I mean? They go
yeah,
hand in
yeah,
hand. Like
yeah.
they in a fight camp, you're working skills. I would say, you know what I mean. You're something you're really you have like a schedule. You know you're gonna get your food. You know you're gonna get sleep. You're gonna get in the military and going through training. You're out in the woods, you're grinding. No, like sometimes you're not sleeping for days. You're not getting food. You know what I mean. You're not comfort's out there. There's no comfort. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, like and never mind the water confidence portion. So when you go to dive school, there's like you essentially kind of getting drowned in the pool. You know what I mean? You're getting pushed under like a really high stressful water confidence training. So I think like that's where like I learned a lot of my mental toughness. You know what I mean? You take people's air away and people start freaking out. So you see people quitting, full grown men, that's it, quitting, that's it, they're done. You know what I mean? And I was able to persevere through that. And so now getting into a cage is, kind of baby shit compared to all that stuff I did.
Yeah, I see why there's no nerves. Get into the octagon when you already put yourself in situations 99% of people will never be in their entire life. It's makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about how you feel martial arts serves for combat veterans, with dealing with stuff like PTSD. Would you recommend it's kind of like on an individual basis, what works for you, or would you think like everyone who serves should join a jiu-jitsu class, some aspect of martial arts?
I mean, obviously, there's a spectrum of how bad people are dealing with PTSD. I feel like I've seen a ton of positive results for like people. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say I had the worst PTSD comparatively to other people I knew who've had like 6, 7 combat tours of what I mean, like terrible things. So it's like, but for me. I mean, I was definitely a little bit off when I came back from Afghanistan for whatever reason, and I feel like it really just helped me find myself. I've always used it as a tool my entire life. Even if I was like a kid, getting in trouble in school or getting fights, or my girlfriend broke up with me, or whatever it was. I would use martial arts just to kind of deal with it. Deal with my mental. So I think it's a huge, huge thing. And the thing about being a fighter, especially never mind just jujitsu, is it's a martial artist in general. It's just a life encompassing thing. You know what I mean? You have to be healthy. You have to get your sleep. You have to eat right, and all these little things will make you feel better, and deal with stress. So it's like deal with the issues. And I feel like a big problem with PTSD is guys, they turn to the bottle, they start drinking, they start doing drugs, they start doing all this other stuff, to deal with the pain they're dealing with. And I feel like, if you're going to be a fighter, be a martial artist, you can't do that. You can't live that lifestyle. So there's that. And yeah, I think just, the community as well in martial arts is really good. Like, get into a jiu-jitsu gym. There's a bunch of guys like, um, it's not so much, believe it or not, I think it deals with ego. You know what I mean? Like going around with guys doing jujitsu, there's no like pecking order to see who's the toughest guy. Like who the toughest guy, and because you're rolling with the guy, so it's
Mhm.
like ego goes out the window, and like it's all about
Exactly.
learning, and it just like it's about um, making yourself a better person. And I feel like I see it help countless people. So I would highly recommend anybody who's struggling with anything. Doesn't have to be PTSD. Doesn't have to be military members. Anybody. I think martial arts are a great tool for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think like the violent or negative stigma surrounding martial arts, it's less so now than it was, but it's completely incorrect. It's such a positive outlet.
I agree.
Um,
I mean, but there's like I'm not saying go into a boxing gym and get hit in the head and you're already having PTSD or TBIs or any kind of brain trauma or something like that. Like you don't want to be getting hit in the head, but there's other things you can do to ways of training to not get hit in the head and still be a martial artist. So yeah,
exactly. It incorporates a lot more than getting punched in the face.
yeah.
So being one of, I'm not sure exactly how many, people, combat veterans in the UFC now. Another one Jared Cannonier fighting in the main event. What's that like to be on the card with him? Pretty cool,
Oh yeah, very very cool, man. Very excited for that. So yeah, I mean, dude, I'm on the
Main
first
card
round fight
opener. Yeah.
card, which blows my mind. Which you know what I mean. It's cool. Calvin Cater's there as well. You know what I mean. Somebody who I've looked up to for a long time, especially coming back into martial arts. Like I remember I was watching him on TV, being like, "Oh my God, Boston guy." You know what I mean. And the next thing you know, I'm on the main card with him. So you know what I mean? Dream come true. So super cool. A lot of people, Jared Gordon, big fan of him. Angel Hill. I mean, there's been some big names on this card, so it's really cool.
Yeah, they spoke about it in the broadcast for your debut. What would be the better sports moment in your career? Getting that first UFC win or the state playoffs overtime hockey goal? Because that
That's
had to
fun.
be pretty sick.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. But I mean, I'm ready for my UFC win, man. I really want this win. I feel like put the I want to stay in the UFC. I love my lifestyle. Like I said, I like coming out here in Vegas and I love training and I love I love being a martial artist. So this is how I feed that is winning my fights. It gives me like a reason to continue to train at the level I'm training. So I really want this win so I can continue my UFC career.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're gonna get it with all the hard work you're putting in and the mindset you're coming in with. It's a really appreciated time. Real quick, any predictions for tonight? DDP and Strickland and Zhang Weili versus Tatiana?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Strickland. I think Strickland's gonna get it done. I just mentally, I think he's just there, and I think he's gonna, yeah, I think Strickland's gonna get it done tonight, and then Tatiana is gonna be. I'm a big Tatiana fan. I like Patchy Mix, her boyfriend, so I've trained with them before, so I'm big those two, Tatiana and Strickland for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Connor. Anything you want to plug before I let you go?
I don't think I got anything to plug. Appreciate having
Just
me on.
check it. Just check out the fight Saturday.
Yeah, check
Yeah.
out the fights. Yeah, it's fight time, baby. Let's go. Let's get it.
Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Like, subscribe, and check out everything we got going on the channel.
Thanks, man.